And there are people in this industry who have gotten away with it for so long that they feel they're above the law. And that's got to change. That's got to stop.
The point is that they want us to shut up about pedophilia. They want us to shut up about what's going on. And look, we're just investigating. Sometimes we're right, sometimes we're wrong. We'll correct when we are. The point is that why is there the demonization? Why is Salon saying pedophilia is no big deal? Why is the UN trying to legalize it, saying it's just a sexual preference? Why are they trying to lower the age of consent for kids all over the world? What is going on? Why are they allowed, the guest we had yesterday, thousands of girls being raped and everything by Muslims, and the police say it's okay, it's their culture in England? That's mainstream news. So what's happening here? Now we see Orthodox, radical, Wahhabist Islam, pedophilia is a tenet, it's in the Quran, merging with these pedophile networks. So again, I haven't talked to the Saw Man since I waved bye to him when I walked out of a steakhouse a few weeks ago here in Austin after he did a great job on the show, tacticalinsider.com. But he's a polite guy, so he'll pause a lot. So just take over, tell folks about your idea. I know other people are launching similar ideas, already have. I know special ops people that are currently actually doing raids all over the world, saving people out of sex slavery. We probably can't get into that because it's obviously being funded by some patriots, and who knows if the government even knows it's going on. But the point is, Craig, you know more about this stuff than I do, so I don't know how much we can talk about, but you've got the floor. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on, Alex. Well, in short, I am inclined to go public with this because this whole pedophile business has been really suppressed by the media. I know people that have done good investigations, been part of the great roundups and networks of arrests in this field, and they just say, man, it just doesn't hit the light of day. It just goes away because there is so much influence. A lot of these pedophiles are very connected, they're very wealthy, and they own a lot of the media, and things just get swept under the rug. And I have decided to go independent. We were supposed to have a television series to kind of show this 2 years ago, and it keeps not happening because those involved in the media apparently don't want to still see this come to light. So my heart breaks when I imagine the visual of what I'm learning from my friends that are deep into these investigations and saying, you know, Craig, this is turning out, revealing itself to be the front lines between good and evil in the United States. This is really kind of what my friends are seeing as the front lines of the fight for the soul of our nation, because it's so sick and so depraved what they're learning with these arrests and the bus and what they're finding. It's hard for us to believe as decent, morally decent citizens what's going on. And
well, I don't mean to interrupt you after my 10-minute intro. I should also add, you're also a veteran federal law enforcement officer, and we probably can't even get into all those classified areas you've been involved in. So you have federal law enforcement connections. You have also, obviously, in the CIA, Navy SEALs, everything. You've been in it, all of it. And so the point is, this is what you're getting back from everybody. And we see it in the news. 3,000 plus reported pedophiles arrested, many times with the sex slaves, and then it goes totally dark. That shows total proof, the total control.
Yeah, absolutely. It's being suppressed, and that's where I think the fight really is in shining the light on it. I always say sunlight is the best antiseptic for corruption, and that is exactly what's needed here. That's what the doctor ordered. That's what I feel like I can do with my background and my connections. Man, I've got a team with senior veterans from virtually every intelligence and law enforcement agency out there, as well as the highest end of counterterrorism for operators. So we can do a lot of good.
Vetsforchildrescue.org. We're going to talk about launching this. Other groups are doing this behind the scenes. You're seeing, the number is over 3,000 now arrested in just 69 days that Trump's been in. And it's not the old-fashioned, just some child porn. It's people with 4-year-olds, with 2-year-olds in cages. It's legislators. It's judges. It's high-powered people. It's bad, folks. And I want to be clear, I'm not saying most judges are involved in this. Or you find it, though, because they've got controllers in key positions.
Yeah, well, I do have an eclectic background, a kind of a wide scope of personal experience, and I think that's what's allowed me to assemble this team of experts that are senior veterans of so many different units, law enforcement, intelligence, counterterrorist units that are very, very, very capable. They spent their lifetimes solving very difficult problems internationally, and all of my colleagues are very good people. And in this case, we just want to rally around the innocent babies and children who are being tortured, and their little lives and psyches are being shattered by pedophiles, and learning what's going on. And you're right, President Trump has his DOJ after these guys, and they're making hundreds and even thousands of arrests now. So thank God, that's a great thing. And what I have been frustrated in watching, and others as well, is how suppressed this issue has always been. And it just seems like no matter how much good work is done trying to clean this up, the American citizens don't really get to learn about it. This just kind of goes away. It goes quiet. So when I was in the Federal Air Marshal Service, I blew the whistle on a guy that was eventually taken down for gross mismanagement and retaliation. And he was at the top of the Las Vegas field office for a while. He had come from the FBI. So I saw how the government, puts a damper on things that it doesn't want to get out. And I saw what government crooks do, what they look like when they can't control things. In the case of the Air Marshal Service, those who are guilty of gross mismanagement at the top of the Air Marshal Service were very, very rattled, visibly shaken when they had air marshals who were going to the press, because these managers had their federal system wired and they could get away with whatever they wanted because they had come up through the ranks with their colleagues and other MSPB and different aspects of the federal government, OIG and so forth, that are supposed to intervene in the case of mismanagement. They had it all wired, and they were arrogant about it, but they couldn't control those who are going directly to the media undercover. While at the time I didn't agree with those going to the media, I saw in observation how it rattled those who were crooked. And that's what they could not control. That's what they feared most. And I think that's what I'm going to apply to this pedophile ring crisis. And that's what I can do, Alex. I'm not afraid. I've got a unique background that allows me to have colleagues that are very connected, very powerful, and gathering the information, cooperating with federal and local law enforcement, being part of these investigations and busts. And most importantly for us is sharing it, circumventing the gatekeepers of big Hollywood and the so-called news media who would keep this suppressed, and getting it out there anyway against all odds so that we, the American people, can be informed. And the ultimate objective of my effort on this, Alex, is to create a non-permissive environment for this scourge against the very soul of our nation, which is our children.
Corey Feldman has no idea what it's like not to be famous. He was just 3 years old in this McDonald's commercial.
McDonald's gift certificates.
I literally was famous before I knew my own name.
His roles defined the 80s. Goonies.
This was my dream, my wish.
Stand By Me.
You call my dad a loony again, and I'll kill you.
License to Drive.
The only difference between you and that greaseball is that he has a license and you don't.
Films that propelled him into the spotlight for his entire youth. But being famous so young, he says, caused serious damage to him and his friends.
Do you feel like you missed out on a normal childhood?
What childhood? I don't know what that means.
A lost childhood and a loss of innocence. He blames the adults, not just those looking to profit from charming children, but also some with far more sinister motives.
I can tell you that the number one problem in Hollywood was and is and always will be pedophilia. That's the biggest problem for children in this industry.
The casting couch even applies to children.
Oh yeah. Not in the same way. It's all done under the radar.
Nobody talks about pedophilia.
It's the big secret.
And it's widespread?
Oh yeah. I was surrounded by them when I was 14 years old. Surrounded. Literally. Didn't even know it. It wasn't until I was old enough to realize what they were and what they wanted and what they were about and the types of people that were surrounding me till I went, oh my God, they were everywhere like vultures.
Vultures who Feldman says abused him and his best friend, the late child actor Corey Haim, his co-star in The Lost Boys.
Well, what happens if my mom is dating the head vampire?
Feldman says the trauma of that pedophilia contributed to Haim's death.
There's one person to blame in the death of Corey Haim, and that person happens to be a Hollywood mogul. And that person needs to be exposed, but unfortunately I can't be the one to do it. But the person that knows who did it and knows who he is watching right now, I guarantee you. Yeah.
Intriguing.
Yeah. There was a circle of older men that surrounded themselves around this group of kids. And they all had either their own power or connections to great power in the entertainment industry.
Feldman won't name names. And he admits his friend had a struggle with addiction, which he says was a mechanism to cope with his demons.
It was a symptom.
It was a symptom, correct.
Are we in it?
In 2008, the two Coreys confronted each other on their reality show about the dark past they shared.
You let me get around in my life, man. Raped, so to speak. When I was about 14 and a half, and I'm saying this right now. What'd you do, man, when you saw that going down when I was 14 to me? What'd you do? You knew about it.
You want to talk about the truth? Okay, well then let's talk about the truth. I was being molested at the same time by somebody else. What'd you do? You know, there's a lot of good people in this industry, but there's also a lot of really, really sick, corrupt people in this industry. And there are people in this industry who have gotten away with it for so long that they feel they're above the law. And that's got to change. That's got to stop.
People know this is real. It keeps coming out. The British police chiefs come out and say the whole government's run by pedophiles, basically, in the UK. I mean, most of the dominant positions. They keep catching them in Europe in huge rings, and then it gets covered up. And then I've talked to a lot of people. They say, Alex, don't you get it? They're not just mad at Trump about trying to return power to America and make us great again. It's the pedophilia. And it's true. When you hit on this, all hell breaks loose.
What I am learning, Alex, is that some of the biggest names, families, and foundations anywhere are complicit in this. It's part of their culture. It's a ritualistic thing that apparently they feel like they get power from doing these unspeakable, unthinkable things to infants. I can't wrap my mind around it. I've seen a lot, Alex, but this seems to be the worst. And whatever it is, we're going to expose it. We're going to show the people. A lot of people are advising me, Craig, you can't show this. The American public can't stand it. They can't deal with it. And I'm thinking, man, it's happening. We as a nation have to be at least strong enough. If these children can endure this, can't we pay enough attention to help correct it? I mean, that's the least we can do, is at least tune in long enough to go, hey, look, all right, this is unacceptable. We can group together. We can unite to create stronger legislation against this, not to allow it to be normalized and say that it's okay, because it's not okay for the infant that's tortured or murdered. It's not okay for the child whose emotions are shattered. Their psyche is just absolutely devastated, traumatized, and a lot of times they never recover. They're never right, even if they survive it physically. It's unthinkable. It is evil. The guys that are on the closest parts of the investigation, Alex, are calling it evil just due to how destructive and how deranged and perverse it is. And my concern is how pervasive it is, how many are involved, and how wide it goes. And I think the longer, in my opinion, the longer it stays quiet, the longer these perverts and predators who are attacking the soul of our nation and our kids are allowed to enjoy the veil of secrecy, the more depraved and the larger this thing grows, this beast. So I think we've got to rip the lid off of it, shine some sunlight on it in order to create a non-permissive environment for this in the future.
You're doing this despite the fact it'll probably hurt your career, because we know what Hollywood's packed with.
Yeah, I'm past that. They have no idea what's coming from me and mine. Look, I know enough to know the game of what's going on and the struggle for power of the United States and the rest of the globe. But I'm focused on the United States. And this is our home. This is our nation. And I am not afraid. And what I have seen really, really makes the biggest difference is when someone who is not afraid takes it to the crooks. And a lot of people, and this is what I started to touch on before, I didn't get it all out before, Alex, is about overcoming fear. It is those of us who do not fear that bring the fight to the crooks, that rattles them and shakes their cage and brings their house of cards tumbling down. It's not that I'm so brilliant and I'm so capable by myself. Again, this isn't about me. This is the fact that I feel that I've been called to tear the lid off of this, shine the sunlight on it.
You're committed.
And I am not afraid, and so I am coming for them. And yes, I do have all the deadliest skills anyone's ever had. U.S. government, thank you, Alex, for your tax dollars, and everyone else spending millions of dollars teaching me and training me to do so many things. And all of the colleagues that I've assembled to bring this fight forward. And it's not about how spooky and deadly we are, although we are, but that allows us not to be afraid. And not by our strength do we do this, but we carry the good fight forward to expose that which is unacceptable and simply clean it up. I do not hate those, as despicable and harmful as their actions are against these kids. I hate the act. I hate
the spirit
on the victims. That's what I hate. If there's any hate, it's that. I love the children so much that I want to go and change this, and I fear not, and I will not be stopped.